Will you please welcome, in alphabetical order, a wonderful group of songwriters: Luka Bloom, David Byrne, Rosanne Cash, and Lou Reed. Well, I guess you know everybody, but just in case, David, Rosanne, Lou, and Luka. Luka is, I guess, the rookie amongst this quartet. Born in Dublin, he spent some time living here in New York, and out of that experience living in New York, he recorded his first album in '89. It was released in '90. It's called Riverside. Very much an album about the experience of an Irishman living in New York. Then he returned to Dublin, and in 1992, last year, recorded his second album, an absolutely wonderful collection of songs called Acoustic Motorbike. And in many ways, the title and the concept of Acoustic Motorbike is an apt description of Luka's work. It is powerful, hard-driving, driven, electric, forceful music performed by a man with, basically an acoustic guitar. It's a pleasure to have him here tonight. He just did 2 sold-out shows here at the club a couple of nights ago. Welcome, will you please, from Dublin, Ireland, Luka Bloom.
Thanks, Vin. It's a great pleasure to be here. Rising over black and gray, as the morning comes, silence that the cricket sings, and I can hear you breathing. Water mountains rise and fall, rise and fall with dignity. One more day without you. It's just too much for me. Through the eyes of love, I see your face, and in the words of love, I call your name. Through the eyes of love, I see your face, and in these dreams, I feel no pain. Dreams in America, dreams in America. So we curled into a little ball and drove. Where we lie in ecstasy. Breezes soothe our soul. Would you listen to the lover's fantasy? Through the eyes of love, I see your face, and In the words of love, call your name. Through the eyes of love, see your face. Beneath dreams, feel no pain. Dreams in America. Dreams in America seem to go our separate ways. Bodies tuned into different lines. The only thought that is saving grace, reunion, passage of time. Dreams in America. Dreams in America. Dreams in America. Dreams in America.
Well, when David Byrne co-founded Talking Heads back in 1975, he helped to change the face of popular American music. He's constantly exploring new sounds, developing new methods for writing songs. His work is full of intelligence, humor, and an ironic, almost naive sense of wonder about the world. There were 10 albums with Talking Heads, starting in 1977 with Talking Heads 77 and wrapping up with Naked in 88. Last year saw the release of an anthology collection, Popular Favorites, Sand in the Vaseline. And, of course, there have been countless projects with other people, film work, solo albums. Is it Ray Momo?
Yeah.
Ray Momo and Uh-Oh, the most recent solo album. An accomplished composer, vocalist, photographer, filmmaker. Time magazine in a cover story called him rock's Renaissance man. He lives and works here in New York City. Please welcome David Byrne.
Yo. Thank you. It's on. This is an old Talking Heads song. This is one that Lou once suggested we try doing it slower. So, we were younger then, and we liked to do everything as fast as we could get through it. I'm going to try it a little slower tonight. And I've never done this one, like this before. Now that I can release my tensions, let me make clear my best intentions. Girls ask, can I define decision? Boys ask, can I describe their function? Oh, the boys want to talk. They want to talk about their problems. And the girls say they're concerned. They're concerned with decisiveness. Well, it's hard logic to follow, and the boys get lost, and the girls say they're concerned, say they're concerned with decisiveness. I wanna talk as much as I want. I wanna go. I'm gonna give the problem to you. I wanna talk. I'm gonna talk as much as I want. I'm gonna give the problem to you. Decide, make up your mind. Decide, I told you what to say. Confused. See what I found. Confused. I told you what to say. Oh, the girls wanna talk. They wanna talk about their problems. And the boys say they're concerned, that they are concerned with decisiveness. And it's a hard logic to follow, and the girls get lost, and the boys say they're concerned, that they are concerned with decisiveness. I'm gonna talk as much as I want. I'm gonna give the problem to you. I'm gonna talk as much as I want. I'm gonna give the problem to you. Decide, make up your mind. Decide, I told you what to say. Confused, describe what I found. Confused, I told you what to say. Yeah. Not sure how to end it. Woo! Thank you.
The February 22nd issue of People magazine has a review of Rosanne Cash's new album called The Wheel, which unfortunately the rest of us haven't really heard yet because it's not quite out yet. Well, actually, I've heard it. Trust me. It's wonderful. Here's what they said in part. Pop music sometimes seems like a refuge for perpetual adolescence, or a place where the middle-aged look back nostalgically at youth. Cash fully inhabits her work as a genuine, emotional adult. Starting
debatable.
Starting in 1979 with Right or Wrong, she has produced a number of wonderful records, and with each record has exposed more and more of herself as a songwriter. I guess Rhythm and Romance in 1985 was probably the turning point where there were a lot more Rosanne Cash penned songs on her album, and since then with King's Record Shop and then with 1990s Interiors, she has just blossomed and developed and grown as a songwriter. Gutsy, unflinching approach to songwriting has been an inspiration for a lot of songwriters, including people like Mary Chapin Carpenter and Sean Colvin. She, of course, is the oldest child of Johnny Cash, born, incidentally, in Memphis in 1955.
When I know how old I am.
Well, that's also when rock and roll was being born too as well. So I guess this other quote from the LA Times that says Rosanne Cash has the rebellious soul of a rocker and the bloodlines of Nashville royalty makes a whole lot of sense. Will you please welcome Rosanne Cash.
Who is all that about?
Tried to make ourselves pay just plots a life away on street talk, strangers and drugs. And what we really want is love. What we really want is love. I wanna call out your name. I wanna hold out my hand. The woman silent in the mirror tonight wants to talk to your mirror man. And what they really want is love. What they really need is love. We are ships in the night, the water's deep in between. The air is freezing and we can't find a light, so we sail off into our dreams. And what we really dream is love. What we really need, what we want is love. What we need is love. Tried to make it feel right in someone else's world. Sat and looked down my window last night and knew that things had changed for this girl. What I really found is love. What I really feel is love. What we really want is love. What we really need.
When Lou Reed released the album New York back in 1989, I wrote in a review for a magazine I was working for at the time that an argument could be made that all of Lou Reed's albums could be called New York. And that, in fact, if you put them all together, you would have this incredible audio, musical, poetical novel called New York. Beginning with the Velvet Underground in 1967, a band that I think today now in 1993 is probably the most influential band that's ever been in rock and roll. And I think you can consider the Beatles and groups like that as well. When you look at what's happened to music over the past 3 decades, the Velvet Underground stands, a band that, by the way, sold hardly any records whatsoever at the time. That band stands as being an inspiration for just so many musicians and so many groups and so many songwriters. Beginning with the Velvet Underground and coming through all kinds of cycles of solo work up to his very current work, which is his best work. Lou Reed has been a revolutionary songwriter and poet, singer, performer, guitar player, and we're real proud to have him as part of In Their Own Words this evening. Please welcome Lou Reed.
You can't depend on your family. You can't depend on your friends. You can't depend on no beginning, honey. You can't depend on no end. You can't depend on intelligence. You can't depend on God. You can depend on only one thing, baby. You need a busload of faith to get by. Busload of faith to get by. Ooh, busload of faith to get by. You know you need a busload of faith to get by. You know, you can depend on the worst always happening. You can depend on a murderer's drive. You know, if he rapes somebody, they'll have no problem having a child. But you can bet if she aborts it, oh, those pro-lifers, they're going to attack her with rage. You can depend on the worst always happening. Busload of faith, baby, get by. Busload of faith, you 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 get by. Can't depend on the goodly-hearted. Goodly-hearted, they made lampshades and soap. You can't depend on no sacrament, no Father, ooh, no Holy Ghost. Can't depend on any churches, unless there's some real estate you want to buy. You can depend on a lot of things. A busload of faith to get by. 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 You can't depend on no miracles. Hey, baby, you can't depend on the air. You know, you can't depend on any wise men. You know why? You know why you can't find them? They're not there. Hey, but you can depend on cruelty and crudity of thought and of sound. Ooh, you can depend on the worst always happening. You need a busload of faith to get by. Busload of faith to get by. Busload of faith to get by. I need a busload of faith to get by. Busload of faith to get by.
Luka Bloom, let's begin with beginnings. Let's talk about childhood, music in childhood. Early.
You mean that's the present you want to talk about? Childhood.
Growing up in Ireland, your brother, your older
Best
brother,
country in the world to grow up in.
your older brother is Christy Moore. He is a very, very famous singer, songwriter, folk singer in Ireland. I gather there was a lot of music around the house when you were a kid, or was there?
When I think of the music that Christy makes now and the songs that I write, it's not a reflection at all of the music we grew up with. My father died when I was a year old, so my mother was the musical input into the family, I suppose, and she was a light opera fiend. She was an opera fiend, but I didn't grow up in a very traditional Irish background either. Then my brother went away and he started to play guitar and learn Irish ballads. And I discovered a guitar. I found myself one day with a guitar on my knee, about 9 years old. And ever since then, I just wanted to play guitar and sing songs.
When you say you didn't grow up in a very traditional Irish household, what does that mean?
Well, what I mean by that is that nowadays my whole family is completely immersed in Irish music. But when we were children growing up, the particular part of Ireland we grew up in was not a particularly musical area. They were more interested in racing horses and sheep and farming and all that kind of thing. There wasn't much in the way of musical activity in the environment. And it was really when we left home that we sort of found, it was obviously there, it was inside us all, we needed to get out of where we were growing up really to get in touch with it.
And were you getting rock and roll at that point during your childhood?
Yeah, we were, to a certain extent. What I tuned into almost immediately because of my instant love for just sitting with a guitar on my knee was I sought out records of people who just played guitar, and people like Bert Jansk and Sean Renburn and Donovan even, you know. Then at a certain point my mother decided I needed some discipline, so she packed me off to a boarding school where I discovered Fire and Rain. I always think it's very funny actually when I think about it. That was one of the first songs I learned in that vein that made me want to write songs. I was only about 15 or 16 years old, and I was in a boarding school in a tiny town in rural Ireland connecting with this song. And
with Fire and Rain?
Yeah, it amazes me now when I think of it. It actually makes a lot of sense when I think back at it in some ways. But yeah, that's what started me out.
Do you remember the first song you wrote? Is it one that's still with you now?
I remember the girl it was about very well. She was wonderful. The song was pretty terrible. It wasn't worth keeping.
Would you do something that...
From that time?
Yeah, from that era.
One of the very first songs I wrote actually was an a cappella song. Is it cool to do an a cappella song?
Sure.
Okay. I don't know how the hell I came to write this song, because it's the heaviest piece of shit I ever wrote. I've never written some heavy songs, but...
Well, you were listening to Fire and Rain, I guess.
There you go. I don't know what was going on. I just discovered, I remember what it was, I just discovered traditional Irish music, and there's a great tradition of unaccompanied singing in Ireland. It's called Sean Nos, and it's really quite remarkable. It's in the Irish language, and I didn't experience any of it as a child, but I became aware of it in my teenage years, and that's what made me sort of get into this particular song, led me into it. I'll give it a crack anyway, see how it goes. Daffodil is born and rises in the spring. It opens out its beauty to hear the great birds sing. But as quick as it does grow, it decays away so soon. Before the summer sunshine has reached its golden noon. Before the summer sunshine has reached its golden noon. A stream it does rise from the mountain so tall, it swells into a river, and gently it does fall. It meanders through valley, through city and through town, but in the boundless ocean, this river it is drowned. Ah, in the boundless ocean, this river it is drowned. On the sea the winds do rage, and the waves grow so high, whitening the surface as they reach up to the sky. But soon the waves grow gentle, no longer do they roar, as they make their lonesome passageway up to the pebble shore. As they make their lonesome passageway up to the pebble shore. If I was like the daffodil, so fair upon the ground, or like the winding river with its sweet and mellow sound, like a wave up to the shore, like a river into the sea, I'd lay down in resting place, contented and there to be. I'd lay down in my resting place, and contented I would be.
David, when you started to explore world music, a lot of people said, oh, isn't that interesting? And yet, when you go back to the very first Talking Heads songs, the influence of lots of different kinds of music can be quite easily seen, I think. What kind of music were you listening to when you were a kid growing up? I have a feeling it was more than just what was coming off the top 40 radio.
When I was a kid, I remember, before I was buying my own records, I think they had folk. I think the family had folk songs. Gene Redpath, probably Pete Seeger, and some Mozart, which I never did care about, and still don't care for it to this day. And, probably like Sound of Music or something like that.
Show tunes, that kind of
not
thing.
that many, but a little bit.
Yeah. You grew up in Baltimore, right? Born in Scotland. How early did you move here?
To Canada when I was 2, and to the States when I was about 8.
So your basic memory, I would guess, would be of living in the States
Yes.
rather than
Yes.
those other places. When you started buying records yourself, what did you start buying?
What was normal for the time? Beatles, Rolling Stones, Temptations, Miracles.
When did you go off and begin to discover things like avant-garde classical music and music from other countries, musics with different rhythms?
Pretty early on, because it was, I guess it would be in high school, junior high, the local public library had a record lending program. You could take out records as well as books. I mean, you can imagine how scratched
They were always horrible scratch,
You
right?
can imagine how scratched
Held together
they
by
are.
tons of Scotch tape.
Exactly, yeah. Lots of Scotch tape and
Yeah.
old kind of plastic slip covers and things. But you'd get them out, and it was free, and you could check out anything you want. And they'd have some rock and roll records, not very many, but occasionally they'd have some rock and roll records. Then they'd have stuff like the Folkways series and the None Such series of recordings from Bali or things like that. And then they'd have kind of gospel songs or whatever on Folkways and things like that. So you could just, all that became part of.
So was there like a natural curiosity on your part to hear that kind of music as well? Or was
Yeah,
there-
I think there was some obviously a lot of curiosity on my part, but I think it was also in the air. It was there was a vibe at the time that there was lots of stuff going on all over the place,
Yeah.
and it was all hip. and there was hip stuff going on all over the place, not only what you heard on the radio.
Right. I suppose when you go back and you look at the billboards for early shows at the Fillmores East and West, where you'd have Ravi Shankar on the same bill with Miles Davis, on the same bill with Santana, on the same bill with Richie Havens. I guess that's sort of what you're talking about.
Yeah,
It was a much more diverse.
Yeah, everything
outlook.
was. It was okay to mix everything together. It was okay to like. You didn't have to only like one kind of music. You know, like whatever in the Billboard charts, where everything is kind of like in little segments. It's not like you have to decide what you like. You can like a little bit of everything.
So when it got to Talking Heads, when you guys were in Rhode Island and you put this band together, it really should have been no surprise to anybody that you would bring all of these diverse elements to your music.
It's funny. Well, a lot of that stuff was less evident early on, but it was funny that it was in Europe that it was people picked up on the R&B stuff that we were listening to, and here they picked up on that we'd been listening to Lou's work and other people in the States.
There was with Talking Heads, there was almost a kind of a casual attitude evidenced right from the beginning. It was like you guys were studying art, you were studying visual art, and then there was this band, and it almost seemed like the band was kind of like, hey, let's form a band and see what happens. Is that accurate, or was there more thought and planning?
We put a lot of work into it, but
No, I'm not talking about work. I'm talking about. I guess what I'm asking you is.
But I think we felt that. Well, I think I can put it this way. I think we felt that if it didn't happen, if nobody cared or gave a shit about what we were doing, or everybody hated it, I think we felt, okay, we're going to have to find another line of employment here. Whereas there are other people who you see them perform, and you figure this is what they're going to do for the rest of their life. And if nobody likes it, they're going to keep doing it until somebody likes it. Well, we didn't quite feel. We were driven, but we weren't driven to be as singularly focused as that.
Do you think that helped with the success of the band?
Oh yeah, I mean, when we played CBGB's, the first audience must have been 10, 20 people or whatever, but that was it. Boom, they liked it. That's validation enough. All right, we're set. I mean, it was kind of like, all right, the art stuff kind of got pushed aside for a while. This is going to happen. I mean, even if it's only whatever.
Just follow me, one further step here with that. When you say the art stuff kind of got pushed aside, can you remember making that decision to push aside the art stuff?
No, it wasn't a decision that I actually made. It was a decision that just didn't have time to do two things at once.
Yeah. What does fear of music mean to you?
I picked up I think it was some kind of college textbook or something about the psychological effects of music or something. It's called Music in the Brain, that's what it was called. And one chapter was on a disease, which I forget the name of, which is a real disease, and it's a fear of music. And sometimes it's just a general fear of music, and sometimes it's a fear of specific music.
I have that. It's only polka.
People would get violently ill and, nauseous and everything. I thought that was great.
Is there any chance we could maybe go back to that album, Fear of Music? Could you do something from that album?
I have to switch guitars.
Okay.
Should I do that?
Sure. Is that all right?
All right.
That was Fear of Music was the third album for Talking Heads, and things became even more abstract, I think, than they were in the first two. All of a sudden, the songs had one-word titles. They were very basic: air, cities, paper. It was almost like there was a songwriting exercise going on there. Was there?
Well, a few of them started out with single word titles, and I kept at it. Some of the things were songwriting. Some of the things were kind of...
Was it like
Let me see if I can
write a song about cities, write
Yeah,
a song about paper?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not exactly, but some of the stuff was like a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Can you write a song about this? And so I try to do it.
Yeah. Now that's got to be a lot different from getting a song, from having a song sort of arrive upon you as a gift from somewhere else, Where inspiration is the cause for writing the song rather than
Yeah.
a subject.
No. Sorry, I'm trying to do two things at once.
Oh, all right.
I'm getting way behind on one of them. Which will allow me to change the subject briefly.
Okay, go ahead.
I have a drum machine here, which is some people may call it cheating, but in the last decade or so, a lot of people write songs with these to keep. Not everybody. I don't write every song with a drum machine, but a lot of songs I do write with one. And I'm definitely not alone. I think it's for a lot of people it expresses whatever we would call it, the primacy of the groove, or the groove as being a very important element in the music.
And is that what you start with? That you start with the groove?
Yeah, sometimes you start with something like that, and then you start playing along, and pretty soon, you add the chord changes or whatever.
And is it as simple as just turning the machine on and just kind of punching some stuff up and waiting till you get a groove that hits you?
Just about.
Yeah.
I think what it does is it takes you out. It gets you into a minor kind of trance state. This repetitive rhythm and whatnot. It gets you into a little bit outside of altered state or whatever. Kind of like driving a car, and it's a good. I find driving a car is a good time to think of song lyrics, because your mind, your conscious mind is occupied by something else, by steering, hopefully, and so your unconscious or whatever you want to call it, the gift or whatever, is allowed to not come through unfiltered. Yeah. Anyway. Roy, here we go. Time won't change you. Money won't change you. I haven't got the faintest idea. Everything seems to be up in the air at this point. I need something to change your mind. I need something to change your mind. Drugs won't change you. Religion won't change you. I haven't got faintest idea. Everything seems to be up in the air at this point. I need something to change your mind. I need something to change your mind. Science won't change you. Looks like I can't change you. try to talk to you to make things clear, but you're not even listening to me. And it comes directly from my heart to you. I need something to change your mind. 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 Not sure how to end there. Thank you.
Rosanne, you grew up in California. You didn't grow up in Nashville or in Memphis where you were born. Were you a California girl? You know, when we think of what that means, were you one?
I hated the Beach Boys. So, with every cell in my body, I hated the Beach Boys. So, I guess the answer is no.
What did you like?
Well, like David, what was around, you know, the Beatles and then Blind Faith and Traffic.
What about country music? What about, you know, the fact
Well, that kind of went in by osmosis. My parents were listening to that. My mother listened to Ray Charles a lot, the country record. So I loved that record. And then some kind of obscure country stuff too, like Carl and Pearl Butler and Johnny and Joni Mosby. Bet you've never heard of them. Yeah.
What'd you get from your dad? I mean, I know you didn't really spend all that much time with him, and your parents divorced when you were fairly young. But did you learn anything from your father as a songwriter? Can you look back now?
Well, yeah. I mean, the main thing being his respect for language and his ability to go right to the gut of something, you know, and not. Well, actually, I don't do that. He does that really well. He's very simple in his approach and very direct, and it really works. And his respect for the English language is, you know, the thing I value most that I got from him.
You don't think in the songs on Interiors and the songs on the new album that you go right to the gut, right to the heart of the matter?
Smart ass,
Can you remember the first song you wrote?
Yeah.
Did it make it into the public eye?
No.
No. Okay. Which one was the first one you kept? Is it still with you?
That would be a song on Right or Wrong. It was called This Has Happened Before, but I don't recall it in the least.
Yeah.
You know, the thing about my dad's music that I think was really profoundly influencing was his concept records. Ride This Train. Those things really made an impact on me. I really like the idea of a conceptual record that is linear, you know, that develops a lot of themes within one record on the same theme. Develops a lot of ideas on one theme.
Yeah. But, David talked a little bit about driving in the car and
I do that.
Kind of drive in the car or write songs driving in the car.
Write songs driving.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, what's that act of tapping into the subconscious or the unconscious when you write a song?
You're
What's
getting
that
deep
like?
now, aren't you? You mean occupying your left brain so your right brain can create?
Whichever side you, yeah, right.
Yeah. That's what David's talking about. If your left brain gets occupied, then you have, oh God. I'm going to embarrass myself here.
No, but how do you go about doing that? You set yourself up in a particular atmosphere, or can it happen anywhere? Can it happen in as simple a fashion as driving in a
Well,
car?
I read this book recently that said that it happens to you a lot spontaneously when you're young, and as you approach midlife, it stops happening spontaneously so much, and hopefully by then you've developed the skills to kind of catalyze it yourself. So, I'm a long way from midlife, but hopefully developing the skills.
Well, I think, David, I think you said once in an interview that there are really two skills involved. One is the skill that lets that happen, and then the other is the skill that allows you to interpret it, that allows you to channel it and deal with it, to turn it into a song.
Well, yeah, I believe then you have to apply the craft to it.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Linda Ronstadt said something really smart. She said you have to refine your skills so you can support your instincts. I kind of go by that.
Do something else for us, Rosanne.
All right.
Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, this new record that you mentioned that's coming out in a couple weeks is called The Wheel, and so I think I'll do this song called The Wheel. This is a song about reincarnation, one of your classic themes in country music. This song I wrote, my kids were driving me out of my mind, and I thought if I don't get 15 minutes to myself, I'm going to slip my wrist right here and now. So I got somebody to keep them, and I locked the door, and I wrote this song.
How long was I asleep? When did we plan to meet? Have you been waiting long for me? When did the sky turn black? Do you still want me back? I'll pick it all up piece by piece, and the wheel goes round and round, and the flame in our souls, it will never burn out, and the wheel goes round. I am a river with a voice. I came into your life by choice, and none can judge the way that feels. You are a messenger from God. You are the angel I forgot, and none can say it isn't real. And the wheel goes round and round, and the flame in our souls, it will never burn out, and the wheel goes round. Well, I'm not looking for your answers. Oh, darling, don't you see? That just to know the question is good enough for me. Take up the heart you came to heal. Put down your dagger and your shield. You need hide nothing now from me. Oh, I see the essence of the man. I stand before you as a friend. The truth moves through us even when we sleep, and the wheel goes round and round.
It was a volume of Lou Reed's lyrics and poems published a couple of years ago called Between Thought and Expression. I've always wanted to ask Lou about this lyric. Jenny said when she was just 5 years old, there was nothing happening at all. Every time she puts on a radio, there was nothing going down at all. And then one fine morning, she puts on a New York station. She couldn't believe what she heard at all. She started dancing to that fine, fine music. You know, her life was saved by rock and roll. Is there a specific, not radio station, but a specific experience? See, because every radio station and every person who works on radio wants to think that that song is about them. But is there a specific experience in your life, Lou, where you turned on the radio or turned on something one day and just went, yeah?
Oh, it was Alan Freed.
It was, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I know who it was. There was the Sound of the Hound out of Buffalo. That was kind of hard to get. And then there was Alan Freed when he first hit New York.
As a young man, as a child or in early adolescence or whatever, were you aware of this sentiment, my life is saved by rock and roll?
How long do you have? I knew there was something. Well, look at it this way. From my point of view, it was just what I heard on the radio represented something. I wanted to be where it was. And it made me very much aware of where I wasn't like the only thing that existed, that there was something else out there, which I thought was far better than what I was experiencing out on Long Island.
Now you started working with it relatively early. I mean, you were writing songs in your teenage years. You worked with Pickwick Records for a while, or Pickwick Music, as a staff writer, right?
Well, Pickwick, where I was staff songwriter, that's when I got out of college, armed with a degree. I got a job writing budget songs, some of which are now bootlegs. They sell for a lot out at Colony Records, but they were for sale for 99 cents at Woolworth's department store. They would come in and say, I'm glad you hate the Beach Boys. Only because I was in a situation where for, I don't know, $40 a week, whatever it was, pathetic, they would come in and say, write 10 surfing songs. And then they would, make up the Beach Nuts and just the name of all these surfing groups. And out it would come.
Were you necessarily involved in the recording of those?
Yeah, that actually exposed me to the studio, which kind of gave me a little bit of experience when I got into trying my own stuff.
Can you say that?
I wrote great things. I wrote things like Motorcycle Annie. She don't wear blouses and she don't wear skirts, just black, blue jeans, boots, and racing skirts. Tears up the beaches alongside Pasadena. Little Cycle Annie, they don't get any meaner. You better watch out for Little Cycle Annie.
Obviously the New York version of a surf song. Did you get some kind of a discipline out of doing that kind of writing, though? That writing for hire?
Well, you had to write really fast. Yeah. Like, we need 10 songs in 2 hours, and so that's it. And 4 of us would run off. This is our great our opportunity. But they kept saying to us that if one of us actually wrote something in quotes good, maybe it could actually be released. So I did. I wrote a thing because I read in the New York Herald Tribune, which was the New York paper, used to be around along with the Times. I had read in the fashion column that ostrich feathers were coming in. So I wrote a dance song called The Ostrich.
You don't remember any of that, do you, Luke?
What?
You don't remember any of that one, do you?
Put your head down on the floor and step on it. Do the ostrich.
All right.
Went out to all your major stations.
That's an important song, though, because didn't that song lead to your meeting John Cale?
Well, it had a distorted guitar on it. It's the first. One of the guys there did something that I later used on the Velvet Underground records, which is a great idea. He tuned all the strings of the guitar to B. So all the strings were the same, and you hear that on a couple of songs on the Velvet Underground album, and it was like a cool way of playing because I only knew 3 chords, and this gave me. I could play all these chords with one finger because it was the same note.
See, David, you thought you were into minimalism. But isn't that how you met Cale? Something to do with that record?
They put this record out, and they had visions of like us be something happening with it, and they needed some people with long hair. So there was me, and at a party they had seen John and a cinematographer, filmmaker named Tony Conrad, and Walter Di Maria, the painter-sculptor. And we became the Primitives. And we would go to high schools and lip-sync the ostrich.
How soon after that were you? How soon after that were you the Exploding Plastic Inevitable? Were you the Velvet Underground? Were you? Was there? It was like 1 year you were doing that, and the next year you were with Andy Warhol.
For 2 months I was doing that, yeah. And then meanwhile I was writing on, my songs, which didn't have any chance over in that world. But then I ran into John, and we started getting together playing. Through this thing, the ostrich, and then we ran into Sterling, who had gone to college with me. I ran into him on the subway, and then we got a drummer, but we had a job, and the drummer Angus MacLeese said, "Wait a minute, you mean they tell us when we start playing, and then we stop at a certain time?" And we said, "Yeah." And he walked out. So, we were in the East Village where this attitude is still, prevalent. So, and then Sterl was friends with Jim Tucker, who had a sister named Maureen Tucker, who had an amp and some drums and a car, and she was really great. So she took the place of Angus, and we started doing a lot of songs I had been writing at Pickwick, and then things I would work out with John.
When you go back to that first album, Velvet Underground and Nico, there are songs that are just these incredible, grating, powerful slices of life, like Heroin or Waiting for the Man, balanced by these gorgeous, I'll Be Your Mirror and Sunday Mornings, these gorgeous melodic, beautiful pop songs. Was that something that you were consciously aware of doing, balancing those things like that?
I wasn't aware of balancing them. They just existed.
Yeah.
What Rosanne and David had talked about, like instinct. They just were. It wasn't like, oh, we should really have a balanced record here. Let's put in a ballad and not use the word I. No, it was just they were just there. But we were capable of going from some really wonderful dissonance into pretty melodic things.
Yeah. Could you do something for us from that era?
Yeah.
Good.
don't know just where I'm going. I like this song, by the way, because it only has 2 chords. And I really thought you ought to be able to write a really good song with 1 chord, and 2 chords was really pushing it. 3, you're getting into jazz. But I'm gonna try for the kingdom if I can, 'cause it makes me feel like I'm a man. When I put a spike into my vein, then things aren't quite the same. When I'm rushing on my run, and I feel just like Jesus' son, and I guess that I just don't know, and I guess that I just don't know. I have made a very big decision. I'm gonna try to nullify my life, 'cause when the blood begins to flow, when it shoots up the dropper's neck, when I'm closing in on death, you can't help me, not you guys, all you sweet pretty girls with all your sweet pretty talk. You could all go take a walk, and I guess I just don't know, and I guess that I just don't know. I wish that I was born 1,000 years ago. And I wish that I sailed the darkened seas on a great big clipper ship, going from this land here to that. I put on a sailor's suit and cap, away from the big city, where a man cannot be free of all of the evils of this town, and of himself and those around. I guess I just don't know, and I guess that I just don't know. Heroin, be the death of me. Heroin, it's my wife and it's my life, because I'm manor to my vein, lives to a center in my head, I let her all forget. Because when the heroin begins to flow, then I really don't care anymore. about all you Jims in this town. Everybody putting everybody else down, and all the politicians making crazy sounds, and all the dead bodies piled up and down. But while that heroin's in my blood, and the blood is in my head, then thank God I'm good as dead. Thank God I'm not aware. Thank God I just don't care. And I guess that I just don't know. And I guess that I just don't know.
Luka, simple, stupid question. Which comes first, words or music? Or do they come together?
Depends, really. I want to know, did you write The Road to Nowhere in a car? It's got this beautiful feel to it.
No, I don't think I did.
No? There you go.
It's another two-chord one, though.
You what? There's only.
There might be a couple others thrown in, but most of it's two chords again.
I thought there was only one of them. My version only had one anyway. I couldn't figure out the second one. I'll never be a jazz guitar player. Generally, for me, I play guitar first. Generally, it's a groove. It's
Comparable to what David is talking about then when he turns on the rhythm?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
You work until you feel something.
There are times when I play pieces, I just play chords forever and ever and ever, and I just put them on a tape and I leave them there, and I come back to them and I come back to them and I come back to them, and words don't enter into it for maybe months sometimes. Not for months. And then other times something happens and I can't avoid writing a song about it. In situations like that, it doesn't have to be a political thing. It can be an emotional sort of thing, not necessarily to do with myself at all, but something that I react to, whether it's through anger or frustration or just sheer joy or whatever. I'll be compelled to write something and hope that I'll find a way to articulate it musically.
Can you give us an example of that? One that came to you out of that compulsion?
I can. I was sitting on a bus one day in Dublin, and which is a pretty grim experience anyway, in the winter time. Buses in Dublin they're freezing cold and they're wet and damp. And it was in the middle of the winter a couple of years ago, and I was reading the Evening Press, which is a terrible rag, to see if there were any shows on in town that night. And I just happened to see this article. And the article inspired this next song. The article told the story of the very untimely death of Jacqueline Rogue. I wrote this song, it's called Jacqueline's Gone to Pablo. I suppose I should say the reason I wrote this song is that the article was if I remember rightly, it was a very voyeuristic sort of an article, and it was very sensational sort of an article. It was sort of as though the guy writing the article got some pleasure out of the fact that he'd gotten a good story. So there wasn't a lot of kindness in the article. I wanted to just inject an element of dignity into the story in some way. It's a song about choices, I suppose. maid came to her room Wednesday morning, found a pistol lying by her side. For 13 years she kept her fires burning, lost in pictures, no place left to hide. Jacqueline's gone to Pablo. Jacqueline's gone to Pablo. Alone too long, night became her lover. She knew that he'd been waiting all this time, with dreams and magic pictures to uncover. Now that all that earthly sadness is behind, Jacqueline's gone to Pablo. Jacqueline's gone to Pablo. People go to galleries in Europe to wonder and to feel Picasso's soul. Jacqueline's gone to Pablo. Jacqueline's gone to Pablo. Jacqueline's gone to Pablo. Jacqueline's gone to Pablo.
David Byrne, a lot of people were surprised last year when the Wim Wenders film Until the End of the World was released, and there was a Talking Heads song on the soundtrack, since everyone had thought that Talking Heads had broken up. Can you talk about that a little bit, how you guys came to do that song for Wim Wenders?
It was a track that we'd recorded when we were recording this Talking Heads record, Naked. And at the time it had, you know, most of the instruments were recorded, had a melody that I sang. I was just going, you know, just making up a melody, and as I do sometimes. No words though. Couldn't get words to it, and so it kind of sat for a while, and then Jim sent this script, and that kind of inspired some words. So it took something outside to kind of
I had
prod me to write words to it.
Yeah, I had heard or read somewhere that he had said something to you guys about projecting into the future and thinking about a song that would be on the radio in the summer of 1999 or
Exactly.
whatever.
The movie was being shot a few years ago, and was supposed to take place 10 or a dozen years in the future, in the very near future,
Right.
which is much harder to imagine than kind of the distant future. That you can kind of let your imagination run riot, but in the near future, you imagine things are either going to be the way they are, but worse, or the way they are, but maybe a little bit better. And you can't imagine things being a whole lot different, and especially if you're writing songs, you go, am I going to, you know, it's going to be completely different or whatever. So we just kind of faked it there.
Yeah, yeah. Could you do that one for us, maybe?
Reach around, maybe I can just do. Yeah.
So when you originally recorded the music for this, and you were just humming along or singing, were you singing nonsense words?
Yeah, saying nonsense.
You know,
words.
That's something that sometimes we can look at some of your finished lyrics and go, these look like nonsense words. You know?
Yeah, well, sometimes sometimes the nonsense sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
And has a kind of strong emotional kick to it, and sometimes if you try to make it, some of them, if you make it about something real specific, instead of just letting things float free, it kind of drags it down somehow. It makes it smaller instead of bigger.
Well, you guys had an album called Speaking in Tongues.
Yeah, hardly any songs on that made any sense.
Yeah.
There's a couple that did. A couple that were real straight. I mean, the lyrics were straightforward. Most of them.
That phrase is a religious, you know, it's religious connotations. Do you see any relationship there, any comparison there to the actual religious experience of speaking in tongues?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's this tapping into the same source, whatever, retrieving water from the same well. When you
do that though, when you're in the studio, can you just go over and over and over and just keep changing the words and playing with the words? I mean, does it
changing the gibberish?
Yeah.
No, it starts to gravitate towards something, and so in some cases, words just kind of start coming out because certain syllables sound right with that melody, and you find, well, that sounds sort of like this word. So.
Now, in the case of this song, Saxon Violins, with the prodding of Wim Wenders, you were finally able to write lyrics. Can you remember now what actually kicked off the working of the lyrics? And
I'd read the script. There was a. He was talking about using it in the beginning of the movie, and it was set with some big nuclear space station, power space station, was going to crash into the earth, and imminent disaster. That started off the beginning of it anyway.
Did he tell you it was going to be used for a party scene? Did you know that too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Disaster in a party scene.
Okay. Sounds like most of the social engagements in my home.
Falling, gonna drop like a stone. I'm falling through the atmosphere on a warm afternoon. If lovers discover that everyone dies, don't tell me, please hold me, it's a dangerous life. So deep, kills you in your sleep. But it's true, yeah, love keeps us together, and love will drive us insane. And we are criminals who never broke no law. And all we needed was a net to break our I'm going home, back where I belong. Stay. The rays of light, they will turn the night. Today, birds travel together. Birds follow the sun. We are watching as the birds go flying home. Sort of a short version.
Hey, Roseanne, let's stick with Wim Wenders for a couple of minutes here. Now,
Yes, I feel all awash in testosterone now. I don't know how I'm going to quite follow that.
do I detect on some of your new songs the influence of the Wim Wenders film Wings of Desire?
Yeah, how did you know that, though?
It's influ-
I love that movie. That's one of my favorite films of all time.
Can you talk about not only specifically that, but the idea of getting inspired from sources outside yourself?
Well, wait a minute. I didn't know I was inspired by that on this new album. You just... This is all new to me, and just let me process this for just a minute. Okay, now what's...
Don't you hear, like in the Paris song, you know, soon we'll be in Paris. Don't you hear? Now, don't you hear Wings of Desire in there somewhere? Something about those characters?
Definitely heavy on angels. Yeah, I definitely believe in angels. And I think that's one reason that movie struck me so much, and maybe that's why I put it in Sleeping in Paris. I don't know. I guess.
But so we're getting back to dealing with the subconscious or the unconscious. When you write songs, you sometimes don't know where things come from.
Well, I know that I was in a particularly hard period of my life, and I was about to go to Paris. And Paris became a metaphor for just getting through it. And, for an easier state of being, kind of. So, I mean, it was months away, but I just kept holding on. If I can just get to Paris, maybe everything will be okay. And I wrote Sleeping in Paris.
Did you do it for us?
No, I want to do something else. No, how could I? That was the greatest setup in the world. I can't possibly say no.
Send the angels to watch over you tonight, and you send them right back to me. Lonely road is a bodyguard, if we really want it to be. There's fascination behind every window, but I know you really care for me. Soon we'll be sleeping in Paris, and we can set those angels free. No one sees behind the mask. No one knows I'm sinking fast, but soon we'll be sleeping in Paris, and we can set those angels free. Love is just a lunar slave Generations get glued to the waves just to see which way they'll go. There's desperation on wild street corners, but I think you're just waiting for me. And soon we'll be sleeping in Paris. We can set those wild ones free. No one sees behind the door. Every day it's one step forward, and soon we'll be sleeping in Paris, and we can set those wild ones free. All those nights I laid with my eyes closed, but not sleeping at all. Those nights I thought I knew which way the wind blows. Now it's blowing me back to you. And the wind speaks French too. No one sees and no one knows. Every day I'm letting go, and soon we'll be sleeping in Paris. Soon we'll be sleeping in Paris. We can set those angels free.
Lou, you've said that performing the last album, Magic and Loss, which you did, you pretty much went all around the world and performed that album as a piece, was one of the most difficult performing times for you, just in terms of the intensity of the material. Was it the same in writing those songs? Was it cathartic to write those songs? Was it really hard to write them?
I don't know. I had thought about it for so long, this particular album, and one of the songs from it, by the way, is in Vin Vender's movie, the same one.
That's right.
David's in. Yeah. Vim has great taste. But within a short period of time, two people who meant a lot to me died of cancer, and I had been thinking about writing an album called Magic, or The Desire for Magic, real magic, like a lightning bolt explode right in front of you while you're watching Letterman or something. Something that you couldn't miss, and you were straight. But
Important distinction.
huh?
Important distinction.
Very important distinction. Thank you, Rosanne, for sharing that with me. But then this experience occurred, and it became Magic and Loss. I don't know that I wouldn't call the writing of it difficult. It just, in many ways, wrote itself. It was just thinking about it a long time. The actual writing didn't take very long. But, I mean, I had a goal for an album. Like, if I could make it to 10 songs, I figured I was home free. And I got to 10 songs, but the writing process didn't stop. It just kept, you know, and I essentially look at it as staying out of the way, and just stayed out of the way until a song that was obviously the end showed up. And the order on the album follows some of what occurred. The first song is in fact the first song, and the last song is in fact the last song. And trying to impose an order on everything else in the middle. But it wasn't hard to write, but it was really hard to perform. Hard to perform for real, because there's no let up in it. Sometimes you could put a show together and you'd break this section up with something that just explodes, but the ones that explode on that album are exploding pretty much in the same way some of the slow ones are. They're just up tempo. So it was difficult, but the writing was cathartic for me, but the performing wasn't. I mean, I was amazed at some of what was written, but the performing of it to make it come to life, that was really hard, and it was very hard doing that night after night after night, because wherever we were, we didn't change the show. I was like on a mission. You know, I think I lost my mind or something, and it just didn't matter if they spoke English, didn't matter if they booed. I had shows that, well, David knows, they'd be yelling at, you know, to play an old song. I just stopped the show, literally, you know, because it's my show. And in a lot of the theaters, we, you know, like at a certain point in the show, we had signs in the lobby that, you know, we're not playing old things. If you don't like this material, if you get up, you can leave and have your money back. But some people chose to stay and, like, haunt me. And they were not the ones I wanted to be haunted by, so it was very, very difficult. But I enjoyed it enormously, doing justice to it. And I just thought it was just this great thing. Every night when we did it, and sometimes it would take longer to kick in, where, you know, you're doing it okay, but you haven't really kicked in for whatever reason, you know, and you might kick in just the next to last song, all of a sudden it happens. But it would always happen someplace, and we were always very happy with ourselves when we got to the end unscathed. But I don't think it's anything I would ever do again.
Did you know that you had to do that you had to perform it live, that you had to do justice to it? When you were writing and recording it?
No, that dawned on me after the tour was over. I suddenly realized what I'd done. I mean, everybody else knew it. I didn't. I just thought, you know, we should be doing this. And once in a while, I would think, something's wrong, like there's this part of the show where the audience gets really silent sometimes. Not necessarily in a great way. Maybe we should cut out this song called Cremation. And one of the guys would say, I love that song. How could you do that? The piece isn't right if you do that. Why don't we just drop everything and just go out and play Walk on the Wild Side for 2 days? Okay, Mike. So, this is called Cremation. Well, the cold black sea waits for me, me. The cold black sea waits forever. The waves hit the shore crying more, more, more. But the cold black sea waits forever. The tornadoes come, up the coast they run. Hurricanes rip the sky forever. Though the weather's changed, the sea remains the same. And the cold black sea waits forever. There are ashes spilt through collective guilt. People rest at sea forever. Since they burnt you up, collect you in a cup. For you the cold black sea has no terror. Will your ashes float like some foreign boat? Or will they sink absorbed forever? Will the Atlantic coast have its final boast? Nothing else contains you ever. Now the cold black sea waits for me, me. The cold black sea waits forever. When I leave this joint at some further point, the same cold black sea, will it be waiting?
Lou, you brought up the fact that there was a song from Magic and Lost that was also in that Wim Wenders film, a song called What's Good. Could you do that one for us too?
If I find the lyrics, I can. Just so many of them. What happened was Vin got in touch with me, I guess like Dave, and said it's supposed to be 1999. That's all you really need to know. What would you hear on the radio in 1999? I tell you, if I'm on the radio in 1999, it would be a lot better than what's going on for me right now. What could I be doing? And I figured I was probably doing the same thing except with a hotter mix. So we mixed it hot. Life's like a mayonnaise soda, and life's like space without room, and life's like bacon and ice cream. Oh, that's what life's like without you. Life's like forever becoming, but life's like forever dealing in hurt. Now life's like death without living. That's what life's like without you. Life's like Sanskrit read to a pony. I see you in my mind's eye, strangling on your tongue. What good is knowing such devotion? I've been around. I know what makes things run. What good is seeing eye chocolate? What good's a computerized nose? And what good was cancer in April? Oh, no good. no good at all. What's good? Ooh, baby, what's good? What good's a war without killing? What good is rain that falls up? What good's a disease that can't hurt you? Why? No good at all. What good are these thoughts that I'm thinking? You know, it must be better not to be thinking at all. Styrofoam lover with emotions of concrete. No, not much. Not much at all. What good is life without living? Oh, what good is this lie in that box? You love to life, others they throw it away nightly. It's not fair. Oh, not fair at all. What's good? Life's good. What's good? Life's good, but not fair at all.
Just want to go around with one question, sort of a practical songwriting question, and we'll start with Luka. Do you write every day? Do you have a specific routine, or do you wait for inspiration or the right moment?
I write every day when I'm writing. What I mean by that is that there are a lot of times I don't write songs. I don't write very well on the road.
Uh-huh.
I did a lot of touring last year, so I hope I'll be writing a lot of songs this year. It just works for me better to separate the things that I do. Sometimes I come up with ideas on the road and absorb a lot of things, but when it comes to the point of actually working on songs, I do it every day, and I have to be pretty ruthless with myself because I'm a lazy bastard.
Do you work at home? Do you have an office? Do you have a room at home? Do you go to an outside office?
I've got a mess that passes for an office.
Uh-huh.
And
David,
up there.
How about you? Do you write every day?
No, same thing. I haven't been able to write very well on the road. Try to play guitar every day. I don't have to make an effort. I enjoy doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and sometimes that ends up in a song or an idea or something.
Yeah. And when you do write, where do you write? Do you have a studio in your home?
Yeah, kind of a room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, shut the door.
Rosanne, you come out of the Nashville experience for a whole bunch of years. In Nashville, there are actually songwriters who, when you talk to them, will say, well, I've got an 11, a 1, a 3, and a 5, and they're talking about their appointments to meet with other songwriters to write songs. I mean, that's how much of an assembly line almost it is. How do you write? Do you write every day?
Not like that.
Yeah.
I feel like I write every day, whether I put it on paper or not. It's kind of an ongoing process. I don't put it on paper every day, no. I tried that once when I was living in Nashville with a guy, actually a really wonderful songwriter, whose name is Tom Schuyler. And we met, in one of those rooms, because, I don't really co-write that much, except recently with John Leventhal. But, so I wanted to try this, and we sat in a room and did nothing but order lunch. It didn't work.
It's amazing that there are people who do that and can write incredible songs. Wonderful, personal, heartfelt songs. And it's got to be the strangest experience to collaborate that way.
I don't get it.
Lou, how about you? Do you write every day?
No.
Can you?
In my head.
Yeah.
But I don't officially do it. But sometimes I'm walking around and I'll hear something. I'll say, if there was an album due, and I'm the kind of person that deadlines are really effective for. So I set up phony deadlines.
For yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, the guys are coming over to learn this and this and this and this, and of course it doesn't exist. But it will by Tuesday. I mean, it has to. I set up a situation where money's involved.
Between you and yourself, like you're gonna like pay yourself off to.
I know how to make myself work, you know, because sometimes I could be pretty lazy about it, and so I just set up a situation to make that I know will make it happen. Huh. I mean, I could go on and say, oh, gee, I can't write. Oh. Yeah, and I just make this deadline, and all of a sudden that takes care of it.
Uh-huh. Do any of you have like a talisman or a superstition? You have to work with a certain kind of pencil, or there has to be a certain kind of, lampshade on the lamp, or anything like that? You have to have a crystal in your pocket, or anything like that? Luka? No? Okay. And anybody have that kind of superstition?
It's really embarrassing.
Go ahead.
I tend to, when I'm kind of writing down lyrical ideas, I tend to write them real tiny on graph paper. That's so that I can get as many of the ideas as possible on one sheet of paper. And then, scratch out all the stuff that's not so good, start again on another piece of paper. It seems very anal, and it is.
Luka, when you were recording Acoustic Motorbike, was a lot of that writing actually done in the recording in the studio? There was a very, as I understand it, if you could maybe talk about this a little bit, there was a very loose kind of a warm, home-like atmosphere in the studio where you recorded that album.
I'm glad you noticed that. I'm really glad you noticed that, because some of the songs were actually written in the studio. They would have been started. I wrote most of the songs in a little cottage in the west of Ireland during some really bad storms, and it was a dark time. It was during the Gulf War. Some of those songs were written as well. But some of the songs then, towards the end, I was going into the studio and there were still one or two songs I'd just started on. And there were a couple of musicians I brought in, one of them my brother. And we just played along in the studio. It's a lovely little studio in the centre of town, in the sort of a new up-and-coming little area in the heart of Dublin that's just been sort of renovated, and there's a beautiful buzz there at the moment, and there's a lot of great musicians hanging around there, and it was just a great studio to be in, and it was a great atmosphere there. I'm not a great studio person. I don't actually like studios. I hate working in studios, actually. I have no sense of technology at all, and the only way I can judge a studio is whether or not I'm able to sing in it. That's the only. Somebody else has got to figure out the rest of the stuff. But this particular place in Dublin just has a good atmosphere to sing in.
Could you give us an example of one of those songs, maybe that came out of the warmth of being in the studio?
No. But I can give you a warm song that was recorded in the studio.
Luka, let me stop you for just a second. If you don't like being in the studio, does that mean that the recording process is a very quick one for you? Do you like to get in and out and get it done with and then be on your way?
My performances tend to be pretty quick, yeah. Yeah, I like to go in and as much as possible try and do what I do live.
Uh-huh.
So I tend to actually go in and perform the songs and bring in musicians in to play. So except for other occasions when something happens between myself and a group of musicians, and we put it all down live. I love to write songs for films. Unfortunately, I only ever get to write the songs after I've seen the film. which is a major problem in my life.
Well, Luka, maybe these guys could introduce you to Wim Wenders.
That's why I'm going to sing this bloody song I'm going to do now. This song was inspired by a beautiful film called Exploring, or the Big Blue. The song is called Exploring the Blue. Some of my favorite songs are about people who drowned. And most of my songs are about people who were either dead or barely living, but this was an amazing film about two guys whose big thing in life was to just dive into the ocean with no oxygen and see how far they could go into the water. And they'd been doing it for so long that the water was they felt that the water was their natural habitat, and they were fascinating guys. It was a beautiful movie. And even though they died in the act of doing what they did, what they got high on, there was no sense of sadness or tragedy in the film at all. But I still managed to write a pretty sad song out of it. Go down to the water and dive as deep as a man can go into those dark places and watch the underwater flow. Exploring the blue, exploring the blue, exploring the blue, in search of you. Here I stand by the mountain, look up to the sky, knowing it's a matter of having to climb above this place, these clouds lie. Exploring the blue, exploring the blue, exploring the blue, in search of you. That's where I'll go. That's where I'll go. That's where I'll go. Go down to the water
dive as deep as a man can go.
David, do you have anybody who you use as kind of a sounding board, feedback, someone that you go to with a new song and test it on?
That's the best play for my wife.
I mean, is it important? Is it important to have that?
I guess so.
I mean, the question is, do you know when? I guess really, do you know when the song is good, and it really doesn't matter what that feedback is going to be. You have the confidence in the song to go with it.
I'd like to say yeah, that I do know. I think I do. I think sometimes I feel I need confirmation, or I need someone else to say, yeah, you're right, that part's good, and this is where it needs work, or when
Well, and wasn't there a song that sometimes on Now I'm Your Mom on Uh-Oh, wasn't there a song that was going in one direction and then this other thing started to happen and people said the other thing, which was the lyric about Now I'm Your Mom, that was the more interesting lyric and you went with that flow?
Yeah. There was written two completely different sets of lyrics for the same song, and the reaction was everybody liked the one about the sex change.
Which came as no surprise, guys. Would you do something new for us? Something that we haven't heard? So is it
Unfinished.
It's unfinished. What is unfinished about it? It's not done.
Still working on the words, and I'm trying out a middle eight, but I don't have words for it, and I'm not sure if it even needs a middle eight or whatever.
One high heel laying on the ground, a machine gun is sitting on the couch. I close my eyes, I shut my mouth, I can't even hear a sound. I don't know if I'm ready for this world.
Don't know if I'm ready for this world. I loved a girl, but she broke my heart. We were close, but then we fell apart. I went black, I had to see, but another boy had replaced me. I guess I'm not ready for this world. I'm not quite ready for this world. I was born into my mother's arms. She held me and she sheltered me from harm. I wish I felt like I did then, but we cannot go back again. I hope I'm ready for this world. I hope I'm ready for this world. This is obviously not finished. This. Adam and Eve
headed for a fall. Now we'll see if they're ready for this world. Watch 'em shout, watch 'em squirm, watch 'em as they cry in pain. And they're just getting ready for this world. Getting ready for this world. I learned to cheat, I learned to lie and steal. I'm getting back at everyone who's mean to me. No more heartache, no more pain, well, no one's hurting me again. I guess I'm about ready for this world. Guess I'm ready for this world. I guess I'm tearing up this world. I guess I'm son of a bitch in this world. I guess I'm ready for this world.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Roseanne, people would consider you to be a kind of a confessional or autobiographical songwriter. How do you consider yourself? Are you a confessional autobiographical songwriter?
Well, I don't get it all from TV. Who wants to know?
Just me.
Yes, I suppose. I mean, obviously, my songs get inspiration from my life. There's no other place for them to start from.
But if people have that notion of you, then doesn't it become sort of a problem for you to create, to go beyond your life, or to take one little element and then expand on it, to assume a character? And then deal with people saying, well, that's Roseanne. Roseanne is singing about Roseanne there.
Yeah, but
you know?
I think they're going to say that anyway. You know, I don't think you can second guess what your listener is going to assume about what you've written, and so I just don't. It takes too much energy, and I assume that people know poetic license is still available, and I don't really think about what people are going to think about it.
I mean, I know you're
Because they're going to think the worst
yeah.
anyway. Sorry.
We were talking before about collaborating. You collaborated with Jon Stewart,
Yeah.
great songwriter, and that was a collaboration that worked.
Yeah, he's kind of my guy, like you were asking David about. If I'm not sure about a song, I call him up and read him lyrics or play him something, and he does the same with me. We have a really good relationship that way. Or if I've got writer's block, I can't write anything, I call him up and say, I'm so depressed, I can't write anything. He says, yeah, me too. And then we both feel better about it somehow. But yeah, I did write a song with him by fax, kind of.
By fax?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Not the music, obviously. But he sent me the lyrics by fax, and they sat next to my bed for about 6 months, and then I had a deadline and for interiors, and so I wrote the music to this, and we changed some of the words, and it was done.
You're lucky that the words didn't fade away. Aren't faxes supposed to fade after a while?
It didn't fade.
Okay, good. Would you?
I guess you want me to do that.
Yeah,
song?
would you?
Yeah. Well, this came from a conversation that Jon Stewart and I had about the origin of neurosis. And it's all rhetorical. None of us knew any neurotic people at all. But we tried to decide where warped behavior came from originally, and we decided that it was fear, that was the beginning of everything that was warped or strange in your life. So this song came out of that. It's called Dance with the Tiger.
the fear. Just how alone are all who live here? Denying the fear is the name of the game. To stare at the fear is going insane. Forgiving the fear is one up on Cain, is to dance with the tiger and laugh at the rain. Don't give me your life, I have one of my own. It was a brilliant idea, inventing the home. Creatures of habit, American fools, reaching for stars while we're standing on stools. Letting it go is jumping the train, is to dance with the tiger. Letting it go, though it won't be the same, as to dance with the tiger. Letting it go is the name of the game, is to dance with the tiger and laugh at the rain.
Is that the guy you were talking about from the tour?
That was him. Lou, I mentioned earlier about New York, about the album specifically, and then about the body of your work being so identified with this city. You've lived here all your life. Could you imagine living someplace else? Could you work someplace else? I mean, I know there was a time when you spent some time out in Western Jersey, but even there you were still close to New York. Is there something about New York that you need to be a creative artist?
I am absolutely positive that I couldn't not live in New York. It would be impossible. It would actually frighten me. I really need the city. I'm used to a lot of things that are here, especially the people. And to not have that available to me whenever I wanted it is something I wouldn't even want to think about.
Mm. Do you get away from it though once in a while? I mean, does Lou Reed go on vacation? You go.
It's worse than that. I play golf.
Fair play to you.
Have you ever written a song on the golf course?
Is this breaking all your illusions now?
Well, when I found out that your Velvet Underground pal John Cale worked out at the same gym with Laurie Anderson and Suzanne Vega, that broke a lot of illusions too. I just didn't want to know that people like that actually were on, Stairmasters and stuff.
Well, there's a reason some of us are still here.
Yeah.
It's not total luck and an accident.
New York. Could you do a song maybe from that album?
Yeah.
Hey Lou, if 100 years from now, people were to remember.
I'm still here. And I still haven't moved.
Where do you play golf?
On my roof.
If 100 years from now people were to remember one Lou Reed song, which one do you think it would be?
I'm not a good person to ask, because I like different ones at a different time. I like I'll Be Your Mirror. I think that's one I like. I have one called The Blue Mask that I like a lot, and almost no one I know does, but I do. And I like Magic and Loss, the song Magic and Loss. I don't think they'll be the ones. That's what I would like. I don't think that's going to be what it's going to be. I think I know what it's going to be.
Well, that was the other part of the question. Which one do you think it would be?
Oh, Do-to-do.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, the one that goes Do-to-do?
Yeah, I know that.
That one. Yeah. I mean, I've tried to escape that one. I put it in a scooter commercial. I did everything. People said, how could, we got married to that song. How could you do that?
They got married?
So now I don't do things like that anymore. So,
Delmore Schwartz supposedly said to you, your mentor when you were at Syracuse, that he would come back and haunt you if you ever sold out.
Yeah. I'm the one who said he said that.
Okay. Enough said.
Sounded good at the time. I was being interviewed. I needed something to get them to stop. This song is called Romeo Had Juliet. And I meant like in the biblical sense, like Romeo knew Juliet, Romeo had Juliet. But it has, I thought, it was about the best lines that I've written happen to occur at the beginning of this, I thought. And again, I think I stand alone in this particular view of it, but it goes, just because it goes by so fast when I'm playing it, but it's my favorite, and I would probably go with this line, if I was, when you go and get judged, I'd say, this one. Not Do-to-do, this one. This one. We were kidding over there, this is the one. Don't you get it? So, and it goes, caught between the twisted stars, the plotted lines, the faulty map that brought Columbus to New York. Between the east and west, he calls on her wearing a leather vest. The earth squeals and shudders to a halt. I really like that. Caught between the twisted stars, the plotted lines, the faulty map that brought Columbus to New York. Betwixt between the east and west, he calls on her, wearing a leather vest. The earth squeals and shudders to a halt. A diamond crucifix in his ear is used to help ward off the fear. He's left his soul in someone's rented car. Inside his pants he hides a mop to clean the mess that he has dropped into the life of the lightsome Juliet Bell. Romeo wanted Juliet. Juliet wanted Romeo. Romeo wanted Juliet. And Juliet wanted Romeo. Romeo Rodriguez squares his shoulders, curses Jesus, runs his comb through his black ponytail. He's thinking of his lonely room, the sink that by the bed gives off a stink, and then he smells the perfume in her hair. Her voice was like a bell. Outside, the streets were steaming. The crack dealers were dreaming of an Uzi someone had just scored. I bet you I could hit that light with my one good arm behind my back, says little Joey Diaz. Hey, brother, give me another toast. Those downtown hoods are no damn good. Those Italians need a lesson to be taught. That cop who died in Harlem, I hope he got the warning. I was dancing when his brains run out in the street. And Romeo wanted Juliet. Juliet had her Romeo. Romeo had Juliet. And Juliet had her Romeo. I'll take Manhattan in a garbage bag with Latin writ on it. It says it's hard to get a ship these days. Manhattan sinking like a rock into the filthy Hudson water shock. They wrote a book about it, said it's like ancient Rome. The perfume burned his eyes, holding tightly to her thighs. And then something flickered for a minute, and then it vanished and was gone.
Last round. We'll go around one more time, and we always do something for the last round in this series. We ask our songwriters to sing a song they didn't write, a song somebody else wrote, a song that they love, that's meaningful to them, important to them, or that they just love singing. And frequently, in doing this, we can gain as much insight into these people as anything else will give us. So, Luka, we'll start with you. A song you didn't write.
Oh, you'll get a lot of insight into me from this song, I tell you. It's not a lot of sex in Irish folk music. It's not that we're not good at it. I mean, there's 40 million Irish Americans who testify that Irish people are very good at it. But it's just, we're not very good at singing about it. We're very shy about it. And I became aware of this after about 10 years of writing songs about people dying and martyrdom and war and... So I decided I'd learn a song that would add a whole new dimension to my life as well as my work. This song was written by a traditional Irish ballad singer called LL Cool J. Actually, he didn't write it, but I learned it from him. I can't remember who wrote it. I won't do the 57-minute version, okay? Don't worry, Vin. When I'm alone in my room, sometimes I stare at the wall. In the back of my mind, I hear my conscience call, telling me I need a girl who is as sweet as a dove. For the first time in my life, I can see I need love. There I was, joking at my games. So many hearts, and I'm saying no names. I thought of her, tears made my eyes burn. I said to myself, look what you done to her. I can feel it inside, I can't explain how it feels. All I know is that I'll never dish another raw deal. Playing make-believe, pretending that I'm true. Holding in my life as I say I love you. Say no more, a whisper in your ear. I say I love you, and I will always be here. And though I often reminisce, I can't believe that I found a desire for true love floating around inside my soul, because my soul is cold. Half of me deserves to be this way until I'm old. The other half needs affection and joy, and the warmth created by a girl and a boy. I need love. Romance, sheer little light, how sweet. I gotta find me a girl who can make my life complete. Scratch my back, get cozy and huddle. I would lay down my jacket, you could walk in a puddle. I'd give you a rose, pull out your chair before we eat. Kiss you on the cheek, oh girl, you're so sweet. It's deja vu whenever I'm with you. I could go on forever telling you what I do, but where the hell are you, neither here nor there? I swear I can't find you anywhere. You're not in my closet or under my rug on this love search. It's really making me bug, so if you know who you are, why don't you make yourself seen? Take a chance with my love, you'll see what I mean. Fantasies can run, but they cannot hide. And when I find you, I will pour my love inside. I need love. I'm gonna kiss you, hold you, never scold you, suck on your neck, caress and hug you, cry and moan, you'll never be alone if you're standing next to me on the phone. Can't you hear it in my voice? I need you so bad. I've got money, but love is something I never had. I need your ruby red lips, sweet face and all. Love you more than the man who's 10 feet tall. Watch the sunrise in your eyes, so in love when we hug, feel paralyzed. Our bodies explode in ecstasy, unreal. You're as soft as a pillow, hard to steal. It's a dream I can't lie because I've never been there. This is an experience that you and me can share. Clean, unsoiled, yet sweaty and wet. I swear to you, this is something I will never forget. I need love. I need love. See, I've changed. I'm no longer a playboy of the world. I need something that's stronger. Friendship, trust, respect, and admiration. This whole experience is such a revelation. Taught me love and how to be a real man. Always be considerate and do all I can. Protect you, you're my lady, and you mean so much. My body tingles all over at the slightest touch of your hand, and understand I'll be frozen in time until we meet face to face and you tell me you're mine. When I find you, I swear I'll be a good man. I'm not going to leave it in destiny's hands. I can't sit and wait for my princess to arrive. Struggle and fight to keep my dream alive. I've searched the world for a special girl. When I find you, watch this love unfurl. I need love.
Luka Bloom. David, somebody else's song, a song you didn't write.
is by a woman named Lucinda Williams. See what you lost when you left this world, this sweet old world. What you lost when you left this world, this sweet old world. Breath from your own lips, the touch of fingertips, the sweet and tender kiss, the sound of the midnight train, wailing for someone's ring, someone calling your name. Somebody so warm, cradled in your arms. Didn't you think you were worth anything? See what you lost when you left this world, this sweet old world. What you lost when you left this world, this sweet old world. Millions of us in love, promises made good. Your own flesh and blood, looking for some truth, dancing with no shoes. The beat, the rhythm, the blues, the pounding of your heartstrung, together with another one. Didn't you think anyone loved you? See what you lost when you left this world, this sweet old world. See what you lost when you left this world, this sweet old world.
David Byrne. Rosanne. Somebody else's song.
Ironically enough, I also chose a song by Lucinda Williams.
Wow. Hey, you guys all know Lucinda's going to be in town tomorrow night, Town Hall.
She's right. She's a soul sister. This one's called Crescent City.
Everybody's had a few. Now they're talking about who knows who. I'm going back to the Crescent City, where everything's still the same. This town has said what it has to say. Now I'm after that back highway, the longest bridge I've ever crossed over Pontchartrain. To that ton, that's what we'd say. We used to dance the night away. Me and my sister, me and my brother, we used to walk down by the river. Mama lives in Mandeville, and I can hardly wait until I can hear my zydeco, a lazy bon temps roulette. Take rides in open cars, brother knows where the best bars are. Let's see how these blues do in a town with a good time stay. To that dance on time, that's what we say. We used to dance the night away. Me and my sisters, me and my brother, we used to walk down by the river. Everybody's had a few. Now they're talking about who knows who. Going back to the Crescent City, where everything's still the same.
Rosanne Cash. Whose new album called The Wheel will be coming out in a couple of weeks. It's a real good record. Lou Reed, song you didn't write, somebody else's song.
I'll have to stop in the middle of it to get the rest of the lyrics. It's a Bob Dylan song. Huh? Oh, yeah. There's 1, 2, and there's 3. It's called Foot of Pride. Like the lion tears the flesh off of a man, so can a woman who passes herself off as a male. They sang Danny Boy at his funeral and the Lord's Prayer. Preacher talking about Christ betrayed. Ah, it's like the earth just opened and swallowed him up. He reached too high, was thrown back to the ground. Ah, you know what they say about being nice to right people on the way up. Sooner or later you're gonna meet them coming down. And there ain't no coming back. When the foot of pride comes down, there ain't no coming back. Well, there ain't no coming back. Oh, when the foot of pride comes down, ain't no coming back. They got a brother named James, don't forget faces and names. Sunken cheeks and his blood is mixed. He looked straight into the sun and said, revenge is mine. But he drinks, and drinks can be fixed. Ah, sing me one more song about your love to the moon and a stranger, and your fall by the sordid love affair with Errol Flynn. In these times of compassion, when conformity's in fashion, say one more stupid thing to me before the final nail is driven in. Ah, there ain't no coming back. When the foot of pride comes down, there ain't no coming back. Well, there ain't no coming back. When the foot of pride comes down, ain't no coming. No coming back. There's a retired businessman named Red. It cast down from heaven, he's out of his head. He feeds off of everyone that he can touch. Said he only deals in cash, he sells tickets to a plane crash. Not somebody that you play around with much. Miss Delilah is his, the Philistine is what she is.
She'll do wondrous works with your faith. Feed you coconut bread, spice buns in bed. If you don't mind sleeping with your head face down in the grave, there ain't no coming back. When the foot of pride comes down, ain't no coming back. I'm going to switch again. Shows you how much I like the song. That I go through this. Bob. Who's probably out playing some town with 3 people in it on the tour that never ends. Well, they'll choose a man for you to meet tonight. You'll play the fool and learn how to walk through doors, how to enter into the gates of paradise. No! How to carry a burden too heavy to be yours. Yeah, from the stage they'll be trying to get water out of rocks. A whore will pass the hat, collect $100 grand, say thanks. We like to take all the money from sin, build big universities to study in, sing Amazing Grace all the way to the Swiss banks. Ain't no coming back. When the foot of pride comes down, ain't no coming back. Ain't no coming back. When the foot of pride comes down, ain't no coming back. They got some beautiful people out there, man. They can be a terror on your mind and show you how to hold your tongue. They got mystery written all over their forehead. They kill babies in the crib and say, only the good die young. They don't believe in mercy. Judgment on them is something that you'll never see. They can exalt you up or bring you down the main route. Turn you into anything that they want you to be. Well, there ain't no coming back. When the foot of pride comes down, ain't no coming back. Well, there ain't no coming back. Oh, when the foot of pride comes down, ain't no coming back. Yeah, I guess I loved him too. I can still see him in my mind climbing up that hill. Did he make it to the top? Well, he probably didn't drop. Struck down by the strength of the will. Oh, ain't nothing left here, partner. Just the dust of the plague that has left this whole town afraid. From now on, this'll be where you're from. Let the dead bury the dead, your time will come. Let the hot iron blow as he raised the shade. Oh, there ain't no coming back. When the foot of pride comes down, there ain't no coming back. Well, there ain't no coming back. When the foot of pride comes down, ain't no coming back.
Lou Reed. Thank you for songwriters for a very special evening. In their own words, a bunch of songwriters sitting around singing. Luka Bloom, David Byrne, Rosanne Cash, Lou Reed. I'm Vin Scelsa. Thank you very much. Be kind to each other. Safe home. Good night.